Hello and welcome to Video Game Hangover. I'm Randy Dickinson and I'm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Hey, I'm DJ Ross. I'm in Mountain View, California.
Each week on Video Game Hangover, we talk about the games that have been keeping us up at night. This week that list includes Dishonored 2 and Lonely Mountains Downhill. Plus we'll check in on Panzer Dragoon and maybe a little, as is customary around here, Animal Crossing. The moment you've all been waiting for.
Everybody's just been waiting patiently for months for us to talk about that game. Because nobody else seems to want to talk about it. It's weird.
No.
Weird. Just everywhere I look, everybody's only talking about, like, Grand Theft Auto 5, I guess. I don't know what it was before that.
Doom Eternal.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. Weird alternate universe where just every single person is playing Doom Eternal 24 hours a day in quarantine.
And the New York Times is writing articles about how Doom Eternal is the official video game of quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how we know we're not in the completely darkest timeline yet.
Right.
I mean, not that Doom Eternal, like, I'm sure it's a fine game, but
yeah,
if that's what everybody was spending their time doing, I don't know how I feel about that. That seems like not healthy.
People having weddings in Doom Eternal. Gary Whitta is hosting a talk show in Doom Eternal. Yep.
Again, nothing against Doom Eternal, just kind of creepy.
Sure. Incidentally, both of those are things that have happened in Animal Crossing over the last couple of months.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was some football team that announced, I don't even know. I got it way over my head with starting to talk about this.
A football-related thing. I remember hearing about this, but I don't know the details either, yeah.
I was surprised because, like, I don't know if there's a big overlap between Animal Crossing players and people who are hardcore about football, but apparently there's enough of one.
Doesn't Nintendo own a team, though? Isn't there some connection there?
I think they owned the Seattle Mariners. I think it was a baseball team.
Oh, okay.
But maybe they own a football team, too. It wouldn't be surprising at this point.
Sure, I'm going to go with that.
We've talked about this. Mario has never played American football, so I don't know. Maybe he spoke too soon.
And baseball is big in Japan. I know this.
That's true. They probably own multiple teams over there.
Yeah.
I have no idea. Don't ask me about these
I don't
things.
either. But yeah, there have been a number of sort of social things that have happened in Animal Crossing. I'm sure there are delightful social things happening in Doom Eternal, but they just don't seem to be getting any with the press.
No, probably just Bethesda is super bitter about that. It's like, somebody just had a beautiful wedding in Doom Eternal, and why isn't anybody talking about it?
Yeah. Yep. I'm sure they would be bitter about it if they could stop playing Animal Crossing.
Right. Yeah. Somebody just had a Doom Eternal wedding in Animal Crossing.
Yep. Anyway, how's things? How you been, DJ?
I have been good.
How's the pandemic treating you?
I guess it's treating me all right. It's fine.
Good.
Nothing new to report, just mostly stayed inside the last week.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this pandemic?
Oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I was a little under the weather last week.
Oh, no.
Okay. This is exactly what happens. I was just like telling people, like, oh, I don't feel so good. They're like, what? And I'm like,
nobody's allowed to have like a headache anymore.
I know.
Or just to wake up not feeling 100% because everybody's like, oh my God, stay away from me.
You can still, yes, exactly. You can still get regular sick. And I just had like, I don't know, it was like a stomach bug. It was not terrible. It wasn't the flu. I just wasn't feeling great. But I told my parents because I was supposed to take some stuff over there. I was just like, oh, I'm not feeling good. And they're just like, oh no, what's going on? And then they like told my brother, and then he texted me and was like, God, everybody just calm down. I'm still alive.
My baby.
Yeah. It's fine. I don't even remember where I was going with this story. But so I was under the weather last week. So it was just a weird, I was staying inside anyway. I wasn't missing any fabulous plans outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. It seems unfair, though, that, I'm just cooped up and now I'm also sick. But
right, exactly.
At least it's not, it's not the other thing, so that's good.
Which begs the question, where did you get that mysterious illness? Where did it come into your home? How did it get across the threshold?
I don't know. That's still a little mysterious to me. I have no idea. I don't want to hypothesize about it endlessly on the show because that'll just, there's no answer. Nobody knows the answer.
Right, yeah. Have you been door dashing a lot of Taco Bell?
I have actually not DoorDashed. I was going to do the Taco Bell thing because we were talking about that you can get the in-home taco bar now.
The taco bar, yeah.
Yeah, and then I was just like, oh, not feeling it this weekend. But maybe this weekend will be amazing.
Cool. Do it. Now that you're feeling better.
Yes. Let's just, destroy that. Return to health right away.
Yeah.
Eat 20 pounds of Taco Bell, whatever.
Okay. I don't mean to make light of this thing where I'm taking a very sort of goofy and kind of jocular approach here, but I know this is a very serious thing. I take it very seriously, but I've been stuck inside this house for the last 2 months, and I'm starting to go a little crazy.
Okay. No, I think that's fine. I mean, I worry about how I react to stuff like this too, because that is my kind of default way to deal with stuff. It's just very sarcastically.
Yeah.
Even when it's a situation as grave as this, it's like real bad. I don't think we even comprehend how bad it is.
In situations where sarcasm would not be appropriate, I tend to default to sarcasm.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. We're on the same page. It shouldn't surprise anybody. But, I'm a big fan of this approach, is just you deal with it in a way that makes sense to you and that keeps you, keep a positive outlook, do whatever works for yourself.
Right.
As long as that is not going outside and congregating with lots and lots of people.
Right, yeah. Demanding a haircut right away or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can wait on a haircut. It's incredible to me, not to just stretch this segment out forever, but just how quickly the absolute smallest inconvenience to people are suddenly just, they can't live without, oh, my hair is too long.
Yeah.
What am I going to do?
Yeah. It was nice. It was nice for a little while. Do you remember back, not even that long ago, just a few weeks, where we were all in this together? The commercials kept saying we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And I really felt like it. Like we were all doing what we could, doing the right thing. And then at some point,
and then they're just like,
splintered.
that's enough. That was fun.
That's enough. A certain number of folks decided they were tired of doing the right thing, and they were going to do some other thing.
Now it's time to do the TGI Fridays thing.
Right, exactly. I need a haircut. I want to go to the beach. I don't know, any number of other things, but yeah, I'm not ready for those things. I'm not quite ready.
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
At least for now. Yeah.
On a related note, Memorial Day is coming. What are you planning, DJ? Anything fun?
Same thing I usually do for Memorial Day.
Exactly. Beach haircut. Or no.
Yes, get my Memorial Day traditional haircut.
My annual Memorial Day haircut, sure.
Yeah, just get the, I don't know what that is, like the George Washington curls or something.
Right, exactly.
I
live in a city, so Memorial Day is the official start of the 4th of July holiday.
Oh, boy.
So there will be nonstop fireworks in downtown Harrisburg from roughly Memorial Day until September 5th or 6th. So
that's a long time.
It is a long time. Yeah, and no cities are doing fireworks displays this year. So I think people are really going to take it into their own hands this year, and it's going to be quite a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know about that. Not so many fireworks around here, but...
Yeah. So you have that weird moment where you're sitting on the couch with your girlfriend going, is it fireworks or gunshots? What is the appropriate response in this situation?
Stay inside? Just
Sarcasm.
continue. No, I don't just be sarcastic about it. Yeah.
Just be, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I keep seeing on Twitter, the latest public event to get canceled, like the next big public event. And I think the last one was like the LA County Fair. People are real upset about they canceled it.
Oh.
But I was like, what were you going to do? Go to the fair? That doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah. I keep getting emails, and I've talked about this on the show before, for all of the concerts I've bought tickets to this year that have, eventually get canceled, or they start off going, we're going to delay it. We're going to kick it down the road a little bit. We'll see what happens. Mm-hmm. And then, a week or two later, you get the, oh, wait, just kidding. We're canceled. So that has been my thing. And I have tickets through, I think November is the latest show I bought concert tickets to this year. And I'm like, I don't really want to go to a show in November. I really can't imagine being in the mindset where I would feel safe doing that in November. So kind of hoping they all get canceled. But that's a bummer. I mean, I like going to concerts. It's one of the few joys in my life. So
that's all I've got left.
Yep. And the COVID has taken it away from me.
It's going to be weird just readjusting to doing what used to be normal stuff. Even when it's like completely safe to go out again. On a more personal note, I am very concerned about Final Fantasy XIV Fan Festival 2020 because that was supposed to happen in November.
Oh.
That's usually
is that a real world event? That's not an online.
It's a real world thing. Yeah, I've talked about this before. It's like it's like a little convention for players. They get together. Usually, they announce the next expansion pack there. It's very exciting.
I do remember you talking about that in the past. Yeah,
but it's in San Diego this year. At least the U.S. one is because they do it in 3 countries. From what I understand, first of all, the California's response to this whole thing has been, I think, it's been extremely good. They've been very responsible about listening to the right people.
Who's your guy, Gavin? Gavin Newsom?
My guy, Gavin, yeah.
Seems like he's on top of his shit. Yeah.
He seems like he knows what he's doing. What a concept. But, that's in San Diego. I feel like seems unlikely to happen on schedule at this point, which makes me kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because I want that video. I want the live stream of the packed auditorium watching the new trailer and losing their minds. That's all I got going for me at this point.
Well, now it'll be a Zoom call or something. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I mean, they've already like canceled E3,
right? And
they canceled GDC a while ago.
Right. Tokyo Game Show canceled.
Oh, did they really? I don't know if I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. But out of the ashes of that, and E3 has been sort of this dying beast for a number of years anyways.
Yeah.
There are all of these little online things that have started to pop up. Jeff Keighley has always got to get his 2 cents in, so he's doing a whole thing. The mayor of the internet, apparently. He's doing a bunch of video and online events throughout the course of June. I think somebody else.
No, it's not just June. It's like 3 months long.
Is it really?
Yeah, I was like, Jeff, that's too much. We don't need that much E3 or whatever.
Dude only works 3 months out of the year, DJ. Give this to him.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah. Well, he's got the Game Awards in December.
He's got stuff going on.
Seems like a fine guy. I'm being a smartass about Jeff Keighley, but I'm sure he's a wonderful human being. Anyway, so yeah, there will be things. Man, we've got some consoles coming out this year. So there's got to be some events. There's got to be some announcements. There's got to be some fanfare.
Where is the PS5? Where is it?
Where is the PS5?
Where is it? People keep asking. Somebody asked in the Discord last week, like, should I get a PS5 or an Xbox? And we're like, we don't know anything about either of those.
Right, exactly. I don't think I've seen a single thing that would lead me to believe that I need either one of those on launch day. So
yeah.
And that's a huge problem if you make PS5s or Xbox X's.
I wonder what it's going to be like, because obviously, like, console production is impacted as well, so there may just be fewer consoles to go around. Yeah.
Maybe sort of a slower start.
Yeah.
A deliberately slower start, which is fine.
I think it's fine, yeah. I think, I would be okay if they just pushed it back a year at this point. Everything is so weird right now.
Yeah.
Let people work on their games for an extra year, get them looking real good. We're great.
A little polish. Yeah. Games. Speaking of games, I don't know what our segue is here.
Speaking of games. No, that always works.
Speaking of video games, as we occasionally do on this show, we speak of games. We've been playing some.
Yeah. Yep.
So I've been going through kind of the pile of shame under my TV and looking for disc and cartridge-based games that I've spent money on in the past, have not played. And the one that I landed on a couple of weeks ago that I've been playing quite a bit is Dishonored 2.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mentioned this to you last week, and you were like, "Oh, I played some of that once upon a time. Let me play that as well." So we've been playing some Dishonored 2.
Yes. I think I played this right before Extra Life. It's been a while.
Oh.
And I played very little of it. But, man, I'm a huge fan of Dishonored. I don't know why I didn't just jump into this right away.
Yeah, and that's kind of the weird place that I'm at, too, because I love the first Dishonored.
It seems, I always think about this. I think it's weird how much I enjoyed it, because on some level it seems like a game that I would just not enjoy. But no, they're real good.
What about it makes it seem like a game you would not enjoy?
It's just, huge AAA first-person immersive sim. I mean, generally those I have enjoyed those in the past, but I don't know. There was
it's just not where you're at right now.
It's not where I'm at really. There was a time when a lot of games in that genre or games similar to it just lost their appeal to me.
Yeah.
But there's something about that first Dishonored that is just real good.
Very super kind of character driven. And these games are generally not that.
A lot of good characters. A lot of like the world building is extremely good.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to lead into next. Is that they really. It is this kind of like what do they call it? Whale punk.
Whale punk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fishing city, and everything runs on whales and whale oil. So they've kind of created their own kind of subculture around that, and kind of baked it into this world that they've created. And it's fascinating. So yeah, if you're trying to knock out the power to what do they call it? A wall of light, which is essentially a force field that blocks your access to another part of the town. You have to remove the canisters of whale oil.
Grab that whale oil.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things like that sort of track back to this kind of very original kind of approach to how they keep the lights on in this city, what the economy in this city looks like, what has value. It's super interesting, and a lot of like work and love has gone into, like you said, kind of world building.
Mm-hmm. I also like the fact that it is just set. It feels like, maybe 100, 200 years ago, probably like 18th century. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, sorry, 19th century, where, the technology is a little behind, although there are all these weird sci-fi elements thanks to the miracles of whale oil.
Yeah, especially in Dishonored 2, which really sort of embraces that.
Yeah, but I like it. I feel like it must have been real fun to write a lot of the journals and documents you encounter in this game. Because I just went through, I'm still very early on, but I just finished the mission where you are in kind of like a hospital/asylum. So you're reading all these medical notes of doctors who are performing obviously very antiquated medical procedures on people and prescribing weird treatments where they're just like, well, just give them some salt or something. It's like, how do they come up with, like, is that in any way based on a previous like real medical practice, or are they just making stuff up? Because in the same paragraph they'll also talk about, like, I don't know, probably whale humors or something, but it's all very colorful and weird and very unique. Yeah.
I don't have a lot of patience for video game worlds where you have to go in and like every desk drawer and every table opens and there's a book inside that you can read and there's files you can read. Mm-hmm. And like, this is where games like Mass Effect and Fallout and what was the one I was playing recently? The Outer Worlds. BioShock fell into this a little bit, like lost me because there's just too much of that stuff. And I don't always find it the most compelling. Mm-hmm. And I, if you're kind of creeping through the dark or running around shooting bad guys or trying to escape from a big daddy and you're like, oh wait, here's a file. Let me take a stop and read this whole thing cover to cover while the world burns around me. Seems like a sort of dubious choice. But in Dishonored, I find that stuff really fascinating. So anytime I find a book or a file or they have audio files in this too, which are done with little punch cards, which is really neat. Mm-hmm. I find that stuff sort of surprisingly compelling in a way that I don't generally in other video games.
I find that I'm not so into the audio logs in this. Just because, like, you have to stand there and listen to it. Yeah. It's kind of irritating.
Yeah.
But all the
it should be portable.
Stuff,
you should be able to just walk away and take it with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool that it feels like it actually plays out of the device that you find in the room. So you like walk over to the other corner of the room and you hear it behind you. But you just gotta, hang out with it for a little while. But all the written stuff, like the books and things you find, first of all, they're all very well written. But compared to other games like this, I feel like there are just not as many of them, but in a good way. Because even in the first Dishonored, I think you just run into these kind of notes all the time. I think there were actually a lot of duplicates everywhere, which did start to feel very overwhelming at some point. I got a little fatigued by just, opening up another drawer because I was afraid of missing something, but it was just the fifth copy of this book that I had run into.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But in this, it's very manageable, and even when you open stuff up to read it, it's very brief. It's like a few short paragraphs that, kind of get the point across. I'm just reminded of whenever you finished a mission in Death Stranding, you would get a bunch of emails that were each like a newspaper's worth of text. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm not gonna read this whole thing. It's probably just all gibberish anyway.
Yeah.
But the stuff that is like the stuff that's scattered around in Dishonored, Dishonored 2 especially, has been very good, and I actually really like, even more so. I don't want to miss out on stuff because it's all worth reading.
Yeah. This is the developer here is Arcane, and they've done Prey in the last couple of years, which is a game that I have a lot of mixed emotions about. And I've talked about it on the show before.
Yeah.
The stuff in that game that I really, really like, though, is being alone on a space station where all of your coworkers have disappeared, and kind of going through their drawers and going through their files and hacking their computers and stuff like that, and kind of piecing together the details of their life. As you get to a new department, you have sort of a staff roster with a bunch of blank lines in it. As you discover kind of proof of a person, it adds to the staff roster. So for me, in Prey, wandering around and digging through everybody's stuff and building that staff roster was so much fun. I really, really liked that part of it until some big dumb monster would show up and I'd have to shoot him.
Yeah.
That kind of took me out of it. But I think Arcane does a really, really good job at this stuff of sort of building world, building characters, even characters and details that don't seem sort of critical to the path that you're on or the story that you're trying to tell. I think they put a lot of kind of work in making that stuff kind of compelling and not just feel like filler.
Yeah, I've kind of forgotten that this could be a thing in games where you're just, this is kind of a stealth game, so you're like breaking into places and sneaking around, trying not to be seen. But you will run into a couple NPCs who I feel like in most games, they could just be saying whatever, just random NPC stuff like, when's your shift over? Or what? I don't know. But in this, there's a lot of cases where they will drop real clues as to like where you're supposed to go next in your mission, or maybe they'll talk about somebody who has a rare item or like an important key or file or something locked up in their room, and then to be keeping an eye out for it, which is like, oh, that's a different, like a way that I'm not used to really engaging with games. So I think that's very fun. It's very refreshing.
Yeah. The spyglass in Dishonored is great because you can zoom in on two guards off in the distance, kind of bitching about their jobs to each other. And the spyglass actually has an audio enhancement feature built into it. So not only do you zoom in on them, but you also get the audio of what they're saying to each other from a distance. So it's really good for just kind of hanging out and finding a perch and eavesdropping on the guards around you, or the NPCs and the citizens and stuff like that, and listening on what they're talking about. And maybe it's not necessarily relevant or helpful, or maybe it's like DJ said, it's the location of a key that you need, or a story item, or a shortcut, or something like that, that you can pick up from just sitting on a balcony or a stoop or something like that, and listening into the world around you.
Yeah. It's an interesting, just a different avenue for getting your objectives done. Because I'm sure you could probably just run in blasting if you felt like it. But it's so fun to just get up on a ledge somewhere and kind of like sneak around, just eavesdrop all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, and the character in Dishonored, and that character again is an available lead to you in Dishonored 2, or you can play as his grown daughter. So Dishonored 2, you have the option of playing as two different characters, and there is some. The internet says, anyways, there's some different gameplay that happens, some different exposition that happens depending on which character you pick. So that's cool, but. They have a blink ability where they can sort of pick a location in the distance and hit a button and zip to that without being seen. And that is a ton of fun, looking for ways around the world to sort of zip without being seen, to sort of sneak in behind somebody. Where in a normal like Sam Fisher, Splinter Cell kind of stealth game, you would not be able to get past guards. You have this cool sci-fi ability that allows you to kind of blink in space to a different spot.
That may have been the thing that like turned me around on the first Dishonored, actually, is that it's such a unique ability. You really just it enables you to get up in a lot of high and difficult to reach places, and that you just spy on people again. So it really feels like you're some kind of weird ninja this whole game, which is totally different from, Splinter Cell or whatever other stealth games I played.
Yeah. But I'm digging this, and I don't know why I didn't play it sooner. I feel like every now and then on the show I play some video game that came out a while ago that I really liked, and I'm like, I feel like such a dummy for not playing this before. But I do. It's so good, and I'm like, I can't believe I slept on this. I don't know what the hell I was waiting for.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Same.
Yeah.
I really like that it starts out. It starts out. I mean, the first Dishonored is in this this really gross and dreary seaport area, like where they bring the whales in to process them or whatever.
Yeah.
And the whole game is like that. And then this one, it starts out, you go to this other area, which feels like it's going to be this very bright and relatively more cheerful, like, it looks kind of like a Mediterranean port or something, or it's like on the edge of the desert. This is not a real place or anything, but it just has that kind of scenery. So I was like, oh, this is interesting. It's like a bright, really, outdoors environment. It's kind of a weird place for a stealth game. And then they just immediately ship you off to this gross asylum. I was like, all right, I see how it is. So I don't know if it ever gets back outside like that, but a cool change of scenery, at least for a few hours.
Yeah, yes, there are a lot of, and I think I'm a little further ahead of you, and you do get back out into the sunlight, and there are, it's still pretty grody. The city is not in great shape. They have a baron that has basically kind of declared martial law, and people keep getting abducted for saying heretical things. So it is sort of this, rule through religion and piety. And there's a woman I overheard, who said her husband was taken away by the royal guard for whistling a song that they said was sacrilegious. And I'm like, well, what does a sacrilegious song sound like when you whistle it? But that is the kind of the city that you're in right now. So it's sort of overrun by I don't know, just nasty, gross Bible thumpers, essentially. And as much as the city, like DJ said, is kind of sunshiny and brighter than you're accustomed to in the first game, it is definitely under an oppressive thumb. And a lot of the flavor of the world comes from the people who are seeking ways to kind of escape from that. There's a whole secondary plot line about an outsider and an alternative religion, essentially, that involves what could be considered, I guess, in this world, a sort of a sacrilegious worship. So you find shrines to the outsider periodically. And so there are people who, like, through community, are looking for ways to rebel against the baron that runs the city. And it's again, just, I love the world building in this. I love sneaking into somebody else's apartment and thinking it's just going to be a detour to get across an alley to another place. And then I spend 45 minutes going through all of their stuff and admiring their art and learning about their life and their belief systems. And I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of work that has gone into this, and I really, really dig. Yeah. And then you get these really fast-paced, for those that maybe this sounds super slow and boring to, you get these really fast-paced infiltrations. You get these crazy set pieces where, without getting into spoilery stuff, a lot of shit is going down, and you're trying to sort of rally all of your abilities and powers and everything you've learned about exploration and your knowledge of the world thus far, to avoid the guards, to fight back against the guards, because you can sword fight and stuff like that too. The game has a pretty aggressive kind of like chaos meter built into it, even more so, I think, than in the first Dishonored. And really? There are pretty significant sort of like global consequences for just killing everybody and leaving dead bodies everywhere.
This is the same kind of stuff that happens in the first one, just like more guards or whatever, more rats.
In the first, it was more guards and more rats. In this one, there is blood flies are a thing.
Oh, I don't like these things.
They're nasty and scary.
They're disgusting. They're just like these big wasps or hornets or whatever.
Essentially, yeah. And they lay their eggs in dead bodies.
Yeah, and then they just build nests all over the place, which is also gross. It's probably like, I don't know, it really fits in with the atmosphere, but I am not a fan of these things. Like, you end up having to sneak through a lot of places that have just been infested with these like big hornets nests, and it's super gross. They're just like buzzing around all the time.
Yeah. But if you play haphazardly and just wipe everybody out and leave dead bodies everywhere, then you end up with a lot of blood flies.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the first kind of world I played through, I was chaotic violence was my rating or something at the end, and I was like, well, I gotta get that shit under control. So in the second one, I was much more, because you like R1 is like a stealth takedown, and R2 is essentially you sort of drive your sword through their head. So I'm like, don't push R2, do not push R2, always push R1. But it's much slower. You have to choke them out, and meanwhile their buddies are like, Steve, what's going on? Are you okay? And they come running, and now you've got to deal with Steve's partner. So yeah, it's the game makes it much, much harder for you to play stealthily, but the incentives of being able to get through the world relatively unharassed by bloodflies and angry villagers and more guards and all of the other consequences that come of it, I feel like are worth it.
Yeah.
Although I do see these video clips on the internet of people using kind of fully maxed out powers to essentially zip around the asylum, like you said, the hospital, and just wipe everybody out in a way that is just like, oh, it's like a ballet. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, I've seen some crazy Dishonored 1 clips. I was just like, I didn't even consider you could do that. I try and keep a stealthy approach most of the time. So far, I don't think I've killed anybody.
Oh, wow.
Which is very frustrating, because I'm not opposed to like getting into a fight with somebody. I will just take them down non-lethally. But like if you grab somebody, which is, if you're getting mobbed by people, it's a good move to do. All the other enemies will not hesitate to just run their buddy through to try and get
just
at
slash
you.
your friend.
And I'm just like, dude, like, calm down a little bit, guys. I like, you're all gonna live through this if you just let me do this correctly. Don't add to the body count. So I've had to kind of reset from a quick save a couple of times. But I kind of feel like you get so many options in the ways you can kind of upgrade your character and abilities you can learn that will just never be useful to me, because it's like, here's a new way to like vaporize your enemies. And it's like, oh, no, we're not going to have any vaporizing happening. Yeah, I wish there was and there was kind of like a stealth equivalent of all of these, but there
isn't. You did that upgrade tree is very heavily geared towards just killing everybody. And if you don't want to play kind of in a world of chaos, or if that's just not your style, if you just prefer to choke everybody out and be relatively non-lethal, you end up with a lot of coin that you don't have anything to spend it on, because like I said, the upgrade tree is geared very heavily towards wiping everybody out.
That sounds very familiar. I think that happened in Dishonored 1. I kind of wish there was just a setting where you could have it kind of like prefer non-lethal methods, because like every time you grab somebody and you choke them out or they're passed out, there'll be this big glowing skull icon next to them, and it's just like, push this button to finish them off or whatever. And like, I never want to do that. Please stop giving me the option.
It desperately wants you to kill everybody, and I don't want to kill everybody.
Yeah. Which is disappointing, because maybe that's a very specific option. So it's not that surprising it doesn't exist. But I am just very impressed by the options that are in there in terms of how they let you kind of tailor the stealth experience. Yeah. And I guess just the gameplay in general, because there are a lot of, not really sliders, but just ways you can turn up like guard, like vision sensitivity or their hearing, I guess, or the sound your footsteps make.
They're not sliders, but they're meters and on and off switches, and like you said, sensitivity adjustments that you can go through for a lot of details in the game to kind of customize it to an experience that you could find palatable or challenging, I guess. Yeah.
So I've turned most of them to allow for, I guess, easier stealth, I guess. So I did things like turn down footstep noise, because I can sneak around better. And what else did I do? I turned up you can be more hidden when you're above guards or something like that. Oh. Or like if you're higher than them, they will be less likely to notice you or stuff like that. But I was also I didn't want to flip all of these onto ultra easy mode, because I was I kind of expect that they designed the game with a certain experience in mind. So I feel like I think I left a few of them at their default settings, whatever those were.
Yeah, I did too, because I mean, and my thought on it was, like, I went through Dishonored 1 pretty capably. Games like this, like Deus Ex, like Bioshock 1 and 2, well, Bioshock 1 and 3, I guess, the ones that I've played, I tend to be pretty decent at the mix of stealth and occasional chaos that those games present. And that was my basic approach to Dishonored 1. So I didn't mess with the sliders too much in Dishonored 2, feeling like I know I'm getting myself into. I'm equipped to handle a game like this. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I just kind of left most of those things as where it was. I don't think I remember tweaking too much of it.
Yeah, I went through it and I looked at all of them and I said, well, if I turn this down, will this allow me to like enjoy the stealth experience more? And if the answer is yes, then I went ahead and flipped it, and it's been fine so far.
One of the things that I was really surprised by in Dishonored 2, and I don't remember this option existing in the first game, was you are offered a deal in the beginning of Dishonored 2 to accept this kind of spectral help, essentially, that gives you the blink ability, in addition to a number of other abilities that come kind of at a paranormal cost. You can choose not to take that in Dishonored 2.
Oh, really?
And just play as a mortal being. And I'm like, well, how much does that change the game? How do you get through Dishonored without being able to blink from one location to another? That seems so integral to the way the world is built, to the way that you get around, to even your ability to do kind of basic stuff. I just can't even imagine not having those kind of superpowers at my disposal.
Yeah, I just assumed that you were forced to take it. I didn't realize you could even decline it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I will not be doing that, I don't think.
No. It also takes a lot. To me, it would take a lot of the fun out of the game, I think.
Yeah, it does seem kind of like the whole point of this character. Or a lot of the core characteristics, I guess.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I'm sure somebody out there has, the no blink, never spotted speed run on YouTube. You can go check out if you're curious to see what that would look like.
Yeah. Now I have to look that up. But yeah, Dishonored is quite good. It's a good game.
Yeah. I kind of want to go play it. Want to see where we're going next.
What else have we been playing?
I played a little of this bicycle game. I keep forgetting the name of this game. Lonely Mountain.
The name does not roll off the tongue, yes.
No, it's a lot going on. Lonely Mountain Downhill. Mm-hmm. Lonely Mountains. There's more than one mountain. But it's essentially a game about like off-road mountain biking.
Right.
Going down a mountain, as you might have inferred.
Yeah. Lonely. Downhill.
Yeah, you're the only one there.
You are.
It's all right there in the title. I don't know why we're explaining everything again.
Yeah. This is not the kind of game that I normally would find myself drawn to, but I played quite a bit of this, a chunk of this.
Oh yeah, I love this. This is previously you've played something like this.
Yeah, at PAX. There was a PAX this year. we were able to get a gaming event in before the world went crazy. So at PAX East, they had a demo of this available, and I had never heard of it. It's apparently been out for PC for a little bit now, and they were demoing the Switch version of it. And as DJ said, yeah, it's. I think these are called voxels. Is that the art style, where you have sort of these?
I don't know if
they're not pixels, but they're kind of pointy 3D.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like voxels is what's happening, but it's very low poly kind of PlayStation 1, like earlier than PlayStation 1 even.
Yeah, but 3D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Virtua Fighter or something.
There you go. I get that reference.
Yeah, nice. But it's like, it's like high res. It's just all the character models and the environments are very simple.
Yeah. And you start with a pretty basic mountain bike and a character that hops on the bike, and you ride your bike down the mountain. And
down the mountain.
Yeah. And there's kind of a greenish, like grassy path that you can kind of descend down. You have pretty basic controls. You can brake, you can steer, and that is about it. You don't have like a turbo button. You can do like a stand and pump kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's as close as you get to a turbo.
Yeah.
A little sprint button.
There, as DJ mentioned, there's no other sort of characters that you encounter. This is It's a pretty solitary experience as you are making your way down the mountain, but you are going past kind of rock formations and beautiful oases and butterflies that flutter by, and sometimes the weather changes, and sometimes the scenery or the type of terrain that you're on changes. And you're really just trying to make your way down the mountain as kind of carefully and skillfully as you can. Until later, when you get a better bike and you get a little more confidence under your ability to ride it, then you start looking for shortcuts, and the game starts challenging you to best your time, or to best the global time, or to go, there was one challenge that it took me 8.5 minutes to get down a mountain, and the game said, you can do this in a minute and a half. And I went, how is that even possible? And that means you have to find every shortcut. You have to get off those green paths and look for creative ways down the mountain. And that means a lot of very scary jumps. That means a lot of like bone crushing.
A good way to put it.
Yeah.
I like how this started out very freeform, because the first time you start out, you load up a trail. It's just like, get to the finish line,
right?
And there's a timer up on the in the corner, but it's not like get to the finish line before all these other bikers, or get there in under 5 minutes. It's just like get there, find your own path down the mountain. There's sort of the suggested route that looks good, but you're really just on your own, and it's very chill, which I thought was was very nice. Very almost unstructured. Kind of left to your own devices. Certainly you can stick to the path, but maybe sometimes you'll see a detour which looks appealing, or maybe you just think, I bet I could go down this way. I bet that's fine.
I bet I could survive this little hop, this little jump.
Yeah.
And then you find out, oh, no, I guess I can't, because I am made of glass.
Yeah, which is also a hilarious thing. You just, anytime you take a jump that is maybe a little too high, or you hit an obstacle going too quickly, your guy kind of collapses and ragdolls down the path a little bit.
Yep. And a little spray of kind of pixely blood.
I turned the blood off, which
Did you really?
I just felt like it really clashed with the overall mood of this game.
Yeah.
Because it's so just like cheerful and kind of wholesome. And then suddenly your guy is just spraying blood all over the place. And I was like, that feels very out of place.
The thing that I love is, have you found any of the little like hidden rest areas?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And there are, I don't know how many there are. I think I kind of stumbled upon one kind of accidentally. And now I'm obsessed with knowing that they're all out there, and I need to find all of them.
Yeah. They're very well hidden, I feel like.
A little off the path, and it cuts to a little scene of your dude kind of off his bike, bike kind of propped up against a rock, and you're just kind of chilling, just kind of sitting on a little stump and wasting the day away as butterflies flutter by and the sun shines down, and
just taking a break.
Yeah, and you can go back to the game at your leisure. It doesn't sort of make you play when you're not ready. You can rest there as long as you would like. And then cut to me moving a little too swiftly down a little hill, and then suddenly there's a rock outcropping at the end, and my bike goes one way and I go another, and there's a little spray of blood that just arcs through the air, through that morning sun, across the butterflies. Yeah.
There have definitely been cases where
it's amusing,
there is like there is some jump. I'm like, this is a shortcut. I can do this. And I just land it the wrong way every single time. I'll do it like 10 times in a row. And every single time he'll just like smash himself into a rock horribly.
Yep.
But man, I love just the hilarity of a ragdoll character just smashing over some rocks and tumbling end over end. It will never get old to me. So it's just great. I'm not even mad. I'm just like, I didn't make it, but now I can at least watch this guy flail around.
Right. And you'll do it a lot. I die constantly in this. And I have had a couple of sessions where it started to grate on me a little bit. And I've had to sort of, unfortunately I'm playing it on the Switch, so I just sort of like shut it down and go back to Animal Crossing. I surprisingly will tolerate a lot of reattempts because the game is so quick at getting you back on the bike. Back to the last checkpoint. You don't have to start at the top of the mountain. It's just the last sort of like cross checkpoint that you've crossed, and they're pretty generous at the placement of those. And you tackle it one more time, and like you said, after sort of 10, 11, 15 attempts at throwing my body off the side of the mountain, I finally figured out, I've got to carve it real sharp here, and if I tap the brakes, and there's no shame in going slow, just kind of like, slowly crawl down the mountain, that's fine. And I don't have to sort of set my best time on the first attempt. I can come back and whittle those things down later, or not if I don't want to. But the game is real kind of chill at kind of not laying a ton on you the first couple of times you take a shot at it, and just sort of like get used to it, just kind of figure it out, just kind of admire the scenery, just kind of play with some of the controls, and we'll come back to you later with all the crazy timers and challenges and leaderboards and all the other stuff that makes people obsessive over games like this.
I like to take the first couple of runs very casually. Just imagine I'm out in the woods or something for an afternoon. And then, if I really like the course or something, I'll maybe go back and try and do a few of the time challenges or like the no crash challenges. Because it's fun. I mean, it's just generally a fun game to play, just steering this bike around. That said, I feel like it builds the difficulty very well. I don't think there are that many courses in the game. Maybe like 16 or 20. And I'm only on the second mountain, but already it's getting pretty challenging, especially if you want to hit all of the speed records. But I think it ramps up at a good pace. And of course, you can still go as slowly as you want. So it's on some level, it's only as difficult as you make it for yourself.
You challenge yourself to be, I think I'm in a similar spot, actually. I think I've only seen this. I just got to the second mountain, actually.
Yeah. I'm going to take my time with it a little bit because I know there aren't that many mountains. So I'm just like, I'll run this one a couple extra times because it also really benefits just building familiarity with each course. That's what helps you find all the little shortcuts because just the way it's kind of an isometric perspective game. It's not like first person or anything, so you can't necessarily see that far ahead on the trail.
Right.
Which I think is actually really clever because I kind of feel like if this was a first person game and you're just looking ahead the whole time, it would be so simple. But this one, they can pull off some weird camera tricks where, there'll be like a surprise corner that you have to react to or a jump that you don't anticipate. So you maybe have to run that section a couple times. But I think it's fun as you get more and more familiar with it. You realize like I could cut a corner here or there's a jump coming up that I should try and do. It's very different than I feel like I play a lot of games lately and just want to get through the next area to see what's coming up.
Yeah, it's a little tricky from that design standpoint because you don't have any control over the camera. And the steering thing took a little bit initially for me to wrap my brain around. I remember that sort of PAX East kind of struggling with it a little bit. And that like left isn't always left. It sort of depends on where the biker is oriented.
Just so driver relative.
Right, there you go. So you kind of have to figure out kind of where is the biker kind of facing in the mountain, and then that becomes your kind of left and right, and you have to sort of adapt your use of the controls from there. There's a setting to make left always left, and I'm like, there's my solution. Mm-hmm. And no, that is much harder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you start out with that one?
No, I didn't realize that setting existed until I had tried to sort of futz with the driver-oriented controls for a while, and then I couldn't get it out of my head. So
okay, yeah. I started out with the driver-oriented ones. I actually really like it. I actually kind of wish there was like a dial controller, so it'd be more like, driving an actual bike.
Oh, interesting.
But it's very fun. It's very intuitive and easy to pick up.
It's not a complaint. I think it's sort of part of the appeal of the game as you kind of figuring that piece of it out. Yeah, it's part of the puzzle of it.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, I'll give these other controls a shot. And I could not do it. I don't know if I had internalized the other control scheme too much at that point, or it just doesn't work as well, but I was just crashing left and right. It was a disaster.
Yeah. It's pretty zen though. And that's the kind of thing that I sort of dig about it too. I think it's, And in a lot of ways, sort of like Animal Crossing, it's a kind of a good game for now in that you do get these kind of like, there's not a big thumping soundtrack. There's not a lot of crazy techno music or anything like that. The mountain is not filled with people. It is this kind of solitary you in nature kind of experience. There's no kind of music soundtrack that I'm even aware of.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting.
It's just nature noises. So yeah, it's sort of delightfully free of bullshit.
Yeah.
In a way that I really appreciate.
Bring your own soundtrack.
Right. Yeah, if you choose to.
Yeah, if you want. I mean, I've been surprisingly okay with just making my way down the mountain in mostly silence.
Yeah. I've been playing this sort of in bed at night, headphones on kind of thing, and it's cool. It's kind of chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very relaxing as long as you're not going for one of those the expert times. Those seem seem like they're very difficult. I don't know if I will. And
anytime I sort of feel that pressure kind of building a little bit, I'm like, let's go on to the next thing. Let's find another thing. It'll take some of the chaos out of me. Yeah.
Let's not get too bent up out of shape over this one jump that I can't pull off. Anyway, it's really good. Yeah. I'm super into it. I am actually playing it on PS4 because, as I mentioned, the Switch is tied up with Animal Crossing most of the time. But it's fine.
Good. You could play both simultaneously if you chose to, then.
I know. That would be very difficult. So I want to give a quick update on Panzer Dragoon, which I talked about a few weeks ago. This is the remake which came out for Switch. I played through it. It's a remake of a Saturn game, of Panzer Dragoon. It's kind of like a corridor shooter, or a rail shooter. I thought it was fine. I had a good time with it. I never really played the original. This was my first experience going through the whole thing. If you remember, I thought it was kind of surprising that it did not run very well, considering it's a modern remake, almost more of a remastering of a game that is like more than 20 years old at this point. But about a week ago, or maybe a couple weeks,
which theoretically should have no problem running on a modern machine.
You would think. I mean, I don't know how video games work. Maybe this one is just impossible to run. I've heard Saturn games are very difficult to emulate for some reason, but if they're just building a new one, I don't know. I don't know how the technical stuff works. Don't ask me. Yeah, it's just not my expectation. But anyway, this patch came out, and among all these other little tweaks to the game, it added this mode, it's called Performance Mode, which boosts the frame rate up to, looks like 60 frames per second, which is actually higher than the original game. I think the original was 30 frames or whatever the remake initially ran at. But I tried it out, and it's great. It's so much better playing it at 60 frames per second. It drops the resolution down a lot, which is just like, okay, I still don't know what's going on with this game. Like, why can't we have why can't it look nice and run smoothly? But whatever. It's so much better.
One or the other, DJ. You cannot have both.
It's weird. It's very mysterious. Somebody please explain what's going on. But basically, so I ended up playing through this entire thing again over the weekend. It's so much better with the new frame rate. I was just mystified at the resolution change through like the first half of the first level, but then I get over it, and it's just so much easier to play. They also changed the control option to be more like, I guess on the way the Saturn controls worked, all of the face buttons you could use to shoot the gun. And initially in the remake, there was only one fire button, but they changed it with this patch, so now there are two fire buttons. So now you can just kind of like rapid tap on A and B, I guess, on the Switch to like kind of machine gun enemies down. And it's so different. It's amazing, actually, because typically you either have this little pistol that you shoot, or you have this lock-on laser. And I spent most of my first playthrough just doing the laser because it was much easier to just target a bunch of enemies and take them with the laser this way. But now with this new control scheme, I am just like hammering on the face buttons, taking down enemies before they even get close to me. It is a whole different experience. It's fantastic.
Oh, wow. Cool.
If that is how the original game played, because I guess people were free to do this from the beginning, then I guess the original remake experience was pretty far off. Nevertheless, I enjoyed it. I just feel like with this patch out, it is so much better. It's a huge improvement. So I completely recommend checking it out if you had reservations about the stuff I was saying about the original. The original remake, rather.
Just make sure you patch it, right? That's
Yeah, I think.
Wow. That's
make sure you get the patch.
quite an improvement.
Yeah, it's very good. So just an update, and then I want to talk about that other game that everybody's playing, Animal Crossing. Are you still playing this? Are you still playing this? Why would I even ask?
I mean, I'm not playing it right this second, but...
Which is unusual, though.
Right, correct. I was playing it up until we got on the mic, yes. Yep. Yep. I just got my 4-star rating today, which means KK Slider is free to come at his convenience.
That's a big milestone. Congratulations.
Yeah. I've been a little slow getting there. I've been trying to sort of build up my city coffers. I've been trying to sort of like design my town. I did a lot of kind of relocation of buildings and move my house and upgraded my house entirely. And I still have 4 empty rooms in my house. Well, yeah, they're empty right now, but normally they just hold turnips.
Yeah. I am really sleeping on just getting my house to not look like a garbage pile. Because I feel like it's going to be one of the last things I do.
Yes, yeah. Because there's so much stuff. There's so many things in this game.
Yeah.
And by things I sort of mean like little things you can kind of move around in your village and things you can use to decorate your house. And I feel like anytime I sort of commit to like, this is the couch, this is the one sofa I need for my my Animal Crossing house, like I visit somebody else's town or I'm on the subreddit or something and I see a different couch and I'm like, maybe that's the couch that I need. So I'm feeling a lot of like I don't know, like couch FOMO in Animal Crossing.
This is not what I had planned to talk about, but this is what my experience has been.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to lead you off the
path.
It's
fine, because this is definitely a real thing that is on my mind a lot. But one of the things that's preventing me from decorating my house is my store just never gets any normal furniture in it. I don't know if that's like there's less of it in this game, but every time I go in there, it'll be like a very specific type of table. It'll be like a retro diner table or something that should be in like a Chinese tea house or something. And I'm just like, this is very nice. But can I just get a regular sofa or like a regular chair or table to put in my house?
Yeah.
I'm still...
But you have to build them. You got to DIY all those.
So the DIY ones just look like you built them out of Legos or something. I don't know. It's very weird. They're just all very blocky. For the longest time, I was sleeping on an inflatable bed, and it was just ridiculous.
I was sleeping on cardboard boxes until just recently, so...
I'm still waiting for a normal-looking bed to show up.
Yeah. I got a race car bed. That's the only bed I need.
That was an upgrade from the inflatable bed, I think, and now I don't even know. I may just not have a bed at this point. Maybe I have a futon or something.
I love the race car bed because you hop in it, you sort of throw your body into it, your tiny little Animal Crossing body, and the headlights blink on the bed and it goes honk honk vroom.
Yeah, it's good. It's just what I want when I'm going to sleep. Just a car is starting.
Crashing through my bedroom window.
But anyway, what I was planning to talk about is, you remember last week, maybe it was the week before, I don't know. I was saying I was at this point in this game where I'm so frustrated by a lot of just the kind of antiquated aspects and interface of it, and how a lot of it takes so much time and effort to do just the smallest things, that I should either just stop playing it or go all in on it and just get disgusting. And I chose the second option. So I don't know why this happened. I was like about ready to make my peace with this game. I've been watching a lot of people stream this and looking at all the, their cool village designs that they post on social media. And I was just like, I am fine living vicariously through all these other people and just accepting that my island and house will be just an untamed trash fire. And then it got into my head. So again, I don't know why. I was like, I should just do one thing before I kind of step away from this game. I just want to have, maybe you've seen this, people will set up their towns so one section of it looks like super urban, where there are like city streets and lampposts and electrical wires all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've seen that.
Which looks awesome because they'll usually put in like cool, custom patterns. It's a dramatically different look than 90% of Animal Crossing towns out there, which is just like a lot of grass and trees. So I was like, that's cool. I don't know if that was really achievable in New Leaf or the previous ones. I'm like, you can probably do it. It's probably very difficult. But there are a lot of tools in this one.
Well, you couldn't do a lot of outside decorating in New Leaf. There were public works projects. If you wanted to put in a fountain or a wind turbine or something like that, you could create a fund and build something like that over time.
Yeah.
In New Horizons, you just pop over to the store and buy a wind turbine and put it up anywhere you want. So you have a lot more options for kind of outdoor landscaping than you ever did in previous Animal Crossing games.
You can even put furniture outside in the other ones, right? That's new in this.
Yes, I believe you're right. Yeah.
It's hard to. It seems unimaginable that you weren't able to do that in previous games, just because it feels so natural in this one that you can't. That's probably led to a lot of these really crazy custom towns.
Right. Yeah. Well, people kind of repurposing things not for like their intended purpose. So there's one of the things that people who make the cityscapes, I've seen kind of videos and pictures of this. You can buy a server bank in the game, and it's this giant steel box with a ton of lights blinking inside of it. And people, and you've seen this, I'm sure, DJ, use that to look like kind of a city building at a distance.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's super smart and that's super creative and that's way more Animal Crossing than I've ever been able to do in my life. So there's people who have been doing like forced perspective towns and stuff like that, where they put little things, you know what forced perspective is. I have to explain that to you.
I'm all about forced perspective.
Yeah. And I'm like, again, much more creative and smart than I am. If there's a couch, I'm going to put the couch in my living room. I don't really have
practical.
Like, yeah. I know where the couch goes. So I pop over to the shop and there's a kitchen table. I know what room that goes in. I know part of me thinks, I could put it outside of my museum and use it to display art. Like, I'm just not that creative with those kinds of things.
I really, again, this is another tangent, but I really appreciate all those, the screenshots of towns that are like rooms, like interior rooms and houses, I guess, that you look at them and you can kind of tell that they are clearly just set up for them to be able to take that screenshot. And if you were to walk out of, like, the camera frame dropped away, you would just be like, oh, this looks like a disaster. It was just very, very specifically laid out to make a nice screenshot, which I think is very cool.
Yes. I visited an island today, and I will not name the resident representative of the island to protect their anonymity. And they had done a beautiful job of just filling every square inch of their island with stuff, with things, with themes, with different nooks and crannies, and really had just probably spent a ton of hours and a ton of money building this stuff. And you couldn't walk around. I couldn't get anywhere. Like, I kept catching myself on corners and not being able, and like she had put arrows on the ground to like lead me to the nooks crannies so that I could do the transaction I was trying to get to her island to do. And even that was like, really, I have to hop across these things and I have to walk around the back of this other building. Yeah. And she's like, bring your ladder. I'm like, really? You don't have stairs in this? So it was maybe a little over decorated, I thought. Maybe sometimes, and you do you. That's the beauty of Animal Crossing, is you make your island the way you want. Absolutely. But for me, I like green spaces. I like a city with a park in it. So island. I was, exactly, to the wide open expanses of Neverwhere. Yeah.
So anyway, back to my island. Anyway, I was just like, okay, I've got these villagers living in the corner of my island. Their houses are pretty close together anyway. I'm just going to build a few paths around them, and it'll look nice, like a modern city or whatever. I won't have to move too many buildings to accomplish this. So I started just setting it up, and I started doing this by like digging holes in, like, with my shovel, one tile at a time, because that's one of the easiest ways to kind of measure stuff out. I was just trying to figure out, okay, how big do these plots need to be for me to make a cool looking city?
Right.
And then I just started thinking, like, do I want to live in the city? Do I want to live with these guys? Do I want to live back out in the countryside? Because I intend to keep part of the island, looking a little more like a traditional Animal Crossing island with lots of trees and everything. And then I thought, okay, I should take a step back from this. I should like draw this out and figure out where everything is going to go. Because once I get started, like I said, it's just so slow to actually do anything in this game, whether it's putting down patterns, or especially if you have to move a building, it takes 24 hours in real time, and it's quite expensive. You don't want to be doing that just haphazardly. Right. So I was trying to figure out the best way to do this, and I was talking to one of my friends about what I was planning, and he sends me this link to this thing I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, but it was brand new to me. It's a tool online called Happy Island Designer. And what somebody has done is they have just made, it's like a painting program almost, where you draw out your island, or you can import a screenshot of your island, and it will kind of give you an overlay so you can recreate it using this tool.
Oh, cool.
But it essentially gives you, it puts your island up in your web browser as a canvas, essentially. And then you can place all these buildings. You can draw out new plots. It makes it very easy to just plan how you want everything to look and where you want it to go. And since everything is on a grid, you can kind of tell how much space you need or where stuff is actually going to fit.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, oh my God, I should have had this a month ago.
And does it get the scale right with like the buildings and stuff like that? So if you're like, geez, I wonder if my museum will fit there, it does fit there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
You really need to you should import a screenshot and just make sure everything lines up as best as possible when you're starting out. But after you do that, it's everything is like marked out. Everything is the correct number of squares. Even when you draw a path, it's all aligned to this grid. So it's really good. So I spent about 2 hours solely drawing out my island and moving stuff around last Friday or Saturday. And I got to a point where I was mostly satisfied with it. I felt like I had done enough work to actually break ground in the game. And then I just spent the rest of the day doing that. Like the entire day. I started out using there's like the path tool, which, as you would expect, is very slow because you can only lay down one tile's worth of path at a time. But I was like, I guess I just put on Netflix or something. So I spent the whole rest of the day doing this, putting up some walls, redirecting a river because it wasn't going the exact path I wanted to take through the town. Just a lot of very time-consuming stuff. But at the end of the day, I feel like it's shaping up. It's like in pretty good shape. I'm pretty happy with it so far.
Nice.
And I feel like I have a project in this game now, which before this, I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I guess just catching bugs and insects. But now I get up and I'm just like, ooh, it's been another 24 hours. I can move another building. I have to move a lot of buildings to get what I'm trying to do. But it's just like, oh, I can make more progress on this thing. And it's probably the most excited I've been to play this game in a while because I was bumping into all these just weird issues with it that were not making me thrilled about it. So I really was just thinking about stepping away from it for a while. But now I have this thing to do, and it's working out to be pretty cool so far.
I took a similar approach. I knew that I was kind of overwhelmed by options, and I had a lot of dreams about sort of like, I want like an orchard to be here. I want my museum at the mountaintop. I want to, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. And I've not unlocked terraforming yet, so I didn't have the ability to like sculpture the island to make things fit. And I was like you, afraid of starting to move something and kind of painting myself into a corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I did not use the mapping tool. I used a Chipotle napkin that was on my coffee table.
Whatever you got.
Sure, and opened the map on my Switch and just draw it with a ballpoint pen.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wrote my house, museum, and fortunately it all kind of worked out. And it looks really good. And I sort of wander my town now, and I feel pretty good about where things landed. And it could have gone much worse, but I like it. I was afraid of sort of just opening the front door of my house and just falling off a cliff or something like that. But fortunately, no, it all kind of worked beautifully.
And then you frame the napkin you put up in the town hall.
I wonder where that napkin is now. We should tweet that. Let me see if I still have it around.
That is terrific. Man, yeah, I had a lot of the same reservations. I was just like, I can't start just working on one corner of the town blindly because if I mess it up, it's going to just be a nightmare to fix it. So I ended up not doing anything, and it was kind of lame until I found this tool, or my friend sent me this tool. So I can't even begin to imagine how much time it has saved me because like I said, I had already started to kind of lay out paths in the one corner of the island. And then only after using this tool, I was like, oh, I don't have enough space in this corner to do what I wanted to do. Yeah. I would have had to just start over on the opposite end of the island.
And for our listeners who are equally maniacal about these things, what is that tool called?
It's called Happy Island Designer. It's got some really unmanageable web address, so I will put a link to it in the show post at VGHangover.com so you can check it out.
Cool. And it's kind of browser-based, right? You'd sort of download it.
Yeah.
From GitHub?
Yeah, it is on GitHub, actually. You just run it in the browser. I don't know if you can download it, actually. Don't ask me about it. It's just go to this thing, figure it out.
Go to the link?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really good. If you're planning on doing large-scale island construction, or maybe if you just think it would be interesting to have an image file of your town on your computer for whatever reason. Very good. I highly recommend it. Can't imagine doing any terraforming or anything in this game without it.
Well, that's exciting.
It is. It is very exciting.
I knew a couple of weeks ago you were like, I don't know, Randy, I'm really kind of bumps in my head off kind of this thing, and I'm really not loving kind of how big a pain in the ass some of these things are, and I maybe thought you were gonna bail on it. And then in our Discord today, we have an Animal Crossing Discord set up just to keep that out of our main chat because it could be overwhelming. I understand. DJ chimed in today. He's like, does anybody have a red vending
Yes.
machine? And I was like, oh, DJ's in. DJ is hooked.
Send me your vending machines. Yeah, I mean, I won't mince words. A lot of the stuff that I had issues with, it's still real bad.
Oh, yeah.
They desperately need to get a patch out to fix some of this stuff, or just to make it more usable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people, if you're playing this game, they've seen that video going around, which is like the dream Nintendo Direct of all the usability features they added to this game.
The quality of life improvements,
And you watch it and you just get sad because, like, first of all, none of it's in the game, and
because it's not real. Yeah, exactly.
It seems reasonable that none of the features will ever make it into the game, and I'm just like, oh, I will continue to just lay down one tile at a time because why would you ever need more than one tile put down? But thanks to this Happy Island designer, it has made at least some of that tolerable because I feel like I have a plan in place that I can work towards.
Good. Excellent.
And I think my city is looking pretty good. I will have to post an update when it's farther along, but I'm happy about it.
I'll have to stop by and be the judge of that.
Oh, okay. Won't be official until it gets your blessing, I guess.
I'm here as a representative of the Happy Home Academy.
Oh, no, I don't let those guys in. It was actually real fun over the weekend because it was kind of in, it was like a very rough state. A lot of incomplete patterns put down and walled off plots where there were no houses yet. But it was kind of fun to take a look at. It's like it's very much a work in progress. So I should take some screenshots just so I have some way to kind of keep track of it.
Excellent. I did a ton of like reforestation and moving buildings around and stuff like that. And have you noticed that your villagers kind of call you on it? They're like, man, Randy, you were working hard yesterday.
Oh, really? No, I haven't. Haven't talked to a lot of villagers since this all started.
Oh, I check in every day, and they were very complimentary to the hard work that I was putting into our town.
Okay. No, nobody's mentioned it yet.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy, this was the first time I had gone to Tom Nook to relocate somebody's house. And like I said, I was working on this all day. So I went probably to talk to them at like 10 o'clock because I was like, I got to get this housing relocation in before the day turns over so I can do another one tomorrow. Right. And I was like...
before close of business. Yeah.
I was like, okay, this guy, this penguin, I think Cube, he's going to live here. So let's do this. I had no idea how this process worked, but Tom Nook is like, okay, in order to get this process started, I'm going to call Cube. We'll let him know what's up. We'll get his permission or whatever. So he calls him on the phone, and then a few minutes later, Cube shows up in the town hall, and he's in like pajamas and a nightcap. I was just like, were you asleep? I guess you were asleep.
You got him out of bed, DJ?
Yeah, and
nice.
then it's like, thanks for showing up. By the way, we're moving you. And that is happening right now. So
right now,
enjoy. Yeah. And I was like, are we going to put him up in a hotel somewhere? Because I was just imagining, you get the little construction plot where the house is going to be. I don't know what happens to his other house. We just kick him out of his house in the middle of the night. But thankfully, the old house stays where it was. So I guess he was able to return to bed. And he just woke up in a different location the next day.
That's happened to all of us.
Yeah. No, totally relatable situation.
I haven't moved any houses, but I moved my museum, like I said, and I went to Tom Nook to get his help doing that. And they're like, well, let me call Blathers, the museum curator, and we'll have him weigh in on this. And I was like, oh shit, can Blathers veto this? Like,
how nice have you been to Blathers? For a minute,
I wasn't gonna. We're pretty nice, relatively nice, I think. I like Blathers. I listen to all of his speeches. I hand in my fossils and fish one at a time so that I hear the lecture on all of them.
No, I can't deal with it.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. I read them out loud to Sarah on the couch.
I'm sure she's thrilled.
Yep. We Googled the difference between moths and butterflies because of things we learned in Animal Crossing. So
what's the difference? I mean,
there's a lot of things.
Okay.
They're part of the same species, genus, whatever. But Butterflies are typically diurnal, awake during the day, and moths typically are nocturnal, although some butterflies are nocturnal. It typically comes down to hair. Moths can be hairy. They have hairs on their legs, they have hairs on their wings, and butterflies typically do not. And when butterflies are at rest, their wings are up. And when moths are at rest, their wings are down and flat, essentially horizontal. So there were a number of like behavioral and physical characteristics that were different about them. But in a lot of ways, they were not very different from each other.
This is so much more information about moths and butterflies than I expected. I'm really impressed.
Yeah, thank you. And I learned all of this only because of having a quick conversation with Blathers after handing in a new moth that I had given him and wondering out loud, what's the difference between a moth and a butterfly? And then down this whole Wikipedia rabbit hole of learning the difference between moths and butterflies.
Well, I will just remain ignorant, I suppose.
But yeah, no, Blathers eventually quickly gave his blessing. And
okay, good.
The next morning, he also woke up in a different place.
I don't know if he sleeps in the museum, but...
He sleeps all day. Do not walk in during the day. He's a owl. Yeah, that's true. So when you walk in the middle of the day, he's sleeping standing up in the lobby.
I guess he never even really moves from that spot, so I don't know what I expected.
Yep. That was weird, too, of seeing him like in the town hall talking to me and Tom, and I was like, what are you doing here?
I thought his feet were back to your home. To the floor.
Right, exactly. His sister gets to roam the village at night, but he's stuck in the museum all the time.
Yeah, well, so dedicated.
Yeah. Anyway,
so I'm excited about Animal Crossing. I'm as shocked as you are.
Excellent. It pleases me greatly.
All right, that's all.
Okay, excellent. We should wrap this thing up. What day is it? How long have we done this? If you need any more video game hangover in your brain, and how could you at this point, you should probably follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/VGHangover, or head right to our blog at VGHangover.com. Also, the aforementioned Discord. It's not all Animal Crossing, I swear. We talk about all kinds of other games. We talk about gaming-related things. We talk about the new Paper Mario that was announced last week. We talked about that Xbox event that was a couple weeks ago.
We were the first to break the news about that free Grand Theft Auto 5, so props to us.
Yep. Right now there's a conversation happening about Hades, the new Supergiant game. So we cover all kinds of games on our Discord and things that are not games on our Discord. It's not all Animal Crossing, I promise.
Yeah. There's a place for that, though, if that's what you want.
So go to VGHangover.com and look for the link to our Discord, and then come hang out with us in our little clubhouse.
And send me your vending machines.
DJ needs all your vending machines.
I got big plans for these vending machines. You have no idea.
Excellent. I'm dying to see what happens. All right. Well, we will be back next week. Until then, this is Randy Dickinson.
This is DJ Ross.
Thanks for listening to Video Game Hangover. Goodbye.
Good night.
See ya.